Hey man, sorry. I didn't know she was married. She said she was single. I'm not the first, and I damn sure won't be the last. Get out while you still can. For me, it was the second I opened my razor case and found a crumpled piece of paper tucked behind the blade. I almost didn't see it, a tiny, folded square wedged in the corner like someone had stuffed it there in a rush. I figured maybe my kid had scribbled something stupid again. But when I opened it, my world cracked. No signature. Just that. Scratched and ugly, hurried letters like it burned the guy's hands while he wrote it. And I just stood there, barefoot on the cold tile of my bathroom, razor in one hand, and that note in the other, heart pounding like I'd sprinted a mile. Because I knew exactly who she was. My wife. The woman I'd trusted with everything. The thing is, I wasn't looking for signs. I didn't suspect a damn thing. I'd just gotten back from a 4-day trip for work, ready to have a quiet dinner with my family and maybe fool around with my wife later if we weren't both too tired. That's it. That's all I wanted. But that note, it was like someone lit a fuse and tossed it straight into the middle of my life. And just like that, I wasn't that same man anymore. Let me back up a bit. My name's Mike. I'm 41, 2 kids, a mortgage, and a Ford F-150 that drinks more gas than I do beer. Been married to Rachel for almost 12 years. She's beautiful, dark hair, green eyes, the kind of woman that still turns heads at the grocery store. And believe me, she knows it. Always has. But I loved her. God help me, I loved her more than anything. I met Rachel in college. She was sharp, funny, wild as hell. Back then, I thought she was exciting. Unpredictable in the best way. What I didn't realize is that the same things that made her feel like a firecracker at 22 would make her feel like a ticking bomb at 40. We got married young. Had our daughter, Maddie, 2 years in. Then came Evan, our boy. We bought the house, did the whole American dream thing. She worked part-time as a yoga instructor, said it helped her center herself. I brought in most of the money doing logistics and supply chain stuff for a private contractor. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. I thought we were solid. I mean, we had our arguments like anyone, but nothing serious. Nothing that would explain this. That night, after I read that note, I stared at my reflection in the mirror for a long time. I didn't see the same man who left for the airport 4 days ago. This guy had bags under his eyes. His jaw was clenched so tight it ached. And his hand? It was shaking. I tucked the note in my wallet. Then I went downstairs like nothing happened. She smiled at me, asked if I wanted wine with dinner. And I smiled back. I poured us both a glass. And that was the moment I started lying too. The next few days, I watched her like a hawk. I noticed things I'd never paid attention to before. The way she always kept her phone face down on the table. How she'd lock the bathroom door even when she was just brushing her teeth. How she laughed a little too hard at text messages she never let me see. I started to wonder, how long had this been going on? Weeks? Months? Years? I went back to the bathroom the next night and searched through her stuff, drawer by drawer. I wasn't proud of it, but I needed something. Anything. And that's when I found the second thing that didn't sit right. A pack of condoms. We haven't used those in over 6 years. That night, I lay next to her in bed, stiff as a corpse. She curled up against me like nothing was wrong. Said she missed me while I was gone. Ran her fingers down my chest. I didn't say a word. I just let her touch me, let her kiss me, let her act like we were fine. But inside I was boiling. The next day, I told my boss I needed a couple extra days off. Said I had a family emergency. That wasn't a lie. Not really. Something was broken. I just didn't know how deep the cracks ran yet. I started keeping track of her schedule. Where she said she was going. What time she left. When she came back. I checked the mileage on her car. I installed a cheap tracking app on her phone while she was in the shower. I hated myself for doing it, but I hated the not knowing even more. Then I followed her. On a Tuesday morning, she said she had an early yoga class to teach. Kissed me on the cheek, told me to grab coffee and relax. She was all smiles. Looked like a damn movie star in her workout clothes. I waited 10 minutes. Then I took the spare key to her SUV and followed the GPS ping. She didn't go to the gym. She went to a coffee shop on the other side of town, one we never go to. And she wasn't alone. A man met her there. Tall, thin, dark jacket. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I saw hers. She lit up when she saw him. Laughed like a girl on her first date. They talked for maybe 20 minutes, then got into his car and drove off together. I followed. They ended up at a motel. Cheap. Discreet. I watched them go inside. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. I waited. Half an hour. Then an hour. Then I left. Drove aimlessly for what felt like forever. I couldn't go home. Couldn't see her face. When I did go back, she was already there. In the kitchen. Making dinner. Humming. I sat down at the table and looked at her. I saw you today, I said. She turned, blinked, smiled. Saw me where, babe? At the coffee shop. Then the motel. That smile never wavered. Oh, she said, like I just told her we were out of milk. You weren't supposed to see that. You'd think after catching your wife cheating, things would just fall apart. Screaming. Crying. Maybe even a confession or apology. Something human. But Rachel? She just turned back to the stove. You weren't supposed to see that, she said again, flipping something in a pan. Like we were talking about a surprise party I ruined. I stood in the doorway, fist clenched. You want to tell me who he is? She shrugged. He's not important. I nearly laughed. He's important enough to sneak off with. Enough to lie to me. Sleep with. Enough to meet at a damn motel. Mike, she said, setting the spatula down and finally turning to face me, don't get all dramatic. You've been gone more than you've been here lately. This just kind of happened. That's supposed to make it better? No, she said calmly. It's supposed to make it make sense. And that's when I realized she wasn't sorry. Not a bit. She wasn't even pretending to be. She didn't flinch. Didn't cry. Didn't beg. She just stood there in our kitchen, completely calm. Are there others? I asked, already knowing the answer. She tilted her head like she was thinking. Does it matter? That was the moment I understood what I was dealing with. Not a wife who'd made a mistake. Not a woman overcome by emotion. But someone cold. Someone calculated. Rachel went to bed early. Not a care in the world. By morning, she was whistling while she made breakfast. Made your favorite, she said, like nothing had happened. French toast. Bacon extra crispy. I didn't eat a bite. Later that day, I called a lawyer. But the lawyer gave it to me straight. You've got 2 kids, a house, and she doesn't work full-time. The court might not side with you. Especially if she paints you as unstable or controlling. And Rachel? She was already 10 steps ahead. That night, she sat down next to me on the couch with a glass of wine. You know, she said sweetly, if we do split, I'm keeping the kids. Full custody. I've got the time. The emotional connection. You're barely here. I didn't say anything. She leaned in closer. And do you remember that incident in Jacksonville? That thing with the truck driver? I turned to her slowly. What about it? I kept my mouth shut back then, she whispered, smiling. But you know how stories can change in court. That was it. That was the first blackmail. She was warning me, back off, or I'll take everything. I needed proof. Cold, hard proof. Not just of the affairs, but of her instability, her cruelty, her manipulation. So I started documenting everything. Voice recordings. Photos. I installed a better tracker on her car. Even put a hidden camera in the living room. I hated doing it. Felt like I was spying on my own life. But I didn't have a choice. She had the upper hand. The worst part? She knew I knew. She flaunted it. She'd take calls in the other room, whispering, laughing. She'd go out wearing perfume she never used around me. One night, she came home at 2 a.m., hair messy, makeup smeared, and looked me dead in the eye. Hope you enjoyed the quiet. And all the while, she was still hugging the kids. Still making their lunches. Still pretending to be this perfect mom. One afternoon, I found Evan, our boy, playing with her phone. He was maybe 7 at the time. I asked him what he was doing. He said, Mommy was texting a man named Blake. She told me not to tell you. I froze. Did she say who Blake was? I asked. He shook his head. Just that he was fun. I swallowed hard. My own kid being dragged into her web. I checked the phone that night when she was in the shower. There were no messages. Nothing in her inbox. She deleted everything. Except she forgot the backups. I used a data recovery tool I found online. It took hours, but I got them. Hundreds of texts. Graphic. Cruel. One message from her read, Mike suspects something. Might have to play the victim card again. You know how gullible he is. Another said, honestly, if he drops dead tomorrow, I wouldn't cry. He's a joke. That was the night I truly stopped loving her. I printed every message. Every photo. Every timestamp. I showed them to my friend Rob the next day. He worked part-time in private security. I asked him to help me set up a system. Cameras outside and inside the house. Recorders, the works. He didn't ask too many questions. Just nodded. Careful, he said. You're living with a predator. He was right. I caught her stealing from our joint account. Transferring money to an account I didn't recognize. Thousands. I traced the account. Turned out it was in her sister's name. Rachel had been hiding cash for months. That's when the paranoia really set in. What else was she hiding? I had Rob follow her for a week. He came back with photos that made me sick. Not just one guy. 3. 3 different men in 7 days. Different parts of town. Different hotels. She had a rotation. And she wasn't just cheating, she was using them. One was giving her cash. Another had connections at the bank, helping her bury financial records. The third? He was a cop. Suddenly, I understood the full picture. Rachel didn't just cheat. She built a whole damn empire of lies. A network. She was playing me. Playing everyone. I needed a plan. I needed to outsmart her. But I didn't get the chance. Because that's when the second twist hit me. Hard. It happened on a Thursday. Maddie came home from school crying. She wouldn't talk to me. Wouldn't look me in the eye. I finally got her to open up after dinner. She said you hit her, Maddie whispered. Mom said you pushed her into the wall. My blood went cold. What? I said. I never. Maddie, I would never do that. I know, she said, sobbing. But she told my teacher. Rachel had filed a complaint with the school counselor that day. Claimed I was abusive. Said I'd threatened her. That I was unhinged. That she feared for her safety and the kids. The school reported it. CPS called that night. Said they'd be coming by the next day. Rachel smiled the whole time. You should have just let me be, she said quietly, tucking the kids into bed. But you had to dig. That's when I knew. She wasn't going to let me leave. She was going to destroy me first. And she was already winning. There's something sick about how quiet the house got. Even with the kids home, even with the TV humming in the background and Rachel humming some pop song in the kitchen, the air felt dead. Like all the life had been sucked out and replaced with something heavier. Something colder. After the CPS visit, everything changed. They didn't take the kids. Not yet. But they made it clear. One more red flag, and they'd escalate. Said they'd keep checking in. Said Rachel had rights as a mother, and they were monitoring the situation. She played the part perfectly. Wore soft sweaters, spoke in that low, calm voice. Made cookies. Complimented the caseworker on her earrings. Said things like, we've had a rough patch, but I know Mike's a good man deep down. I watched her do it with dead eyes. She was a goddamn actress. And me? I was the villain in their story before I even opened my mouth. That night, she poured us both glasses of wine. To peace, she said, raising her glass. I didn't drink. Just stared at her. She leaned back on the couch. You're not gonna win, you know. Even if you walk out that door tomorrow, you're leaving without them. And once you're gone, I can tell whatever story I want. She smiled. I realized she didn't care about the marriage. Didn't care about the kids either. Not really. They were pawns. I spent the next week preparing to disappear. I didn't say a word to anyone, not even Rob. I opened a new bank account in secret. Got a P.O. box. Started putting together a custody file, evidence, testimonies, anything that could tip the scale. I moved slowly, carefully. Knew I only had one shot. On a rainy Wednesday afternoon, I came home early from work. Said I had a meeting downtown, but I canceled it. I wanted to test her. And sure enough, there was a strange car in the driveway. I crept around the side yard, soaked to the bone, heart pounding. I had my phone out, recording. The front door was cracked. I heard her laugh, loud, throaty, fake. Then a man's voice. Deep, cocky, too familiar. I stepped inside slow, quiet. And there, in my living room, sitting on my couch, was Detective Carter. The cop Rachel had met with 2 weeks ago when she filed that report. He was off duty. No badge. No uniform. Just his hand on her thigh and a smile on his smug face. This was how she stayed ahead. This was how she controlled the narrative. She had a cop in her pocket. I snapped a photo. Then another. I didn't confront them. Not yet. I backed out of the house and left. Went straight to Rob's. Showed him the pictures. Told him everything. He stared for a long time. Mike, you've got to be careful. She's already laid the groundwork to bury you. Now you've got a dirty cop involved. I'm not going down without a fight, I said. He nodded. Then we need insurance. We installed new backups. Cloud storage. Hidden drives. 2 copies of every photo and video. Then I started recording myself daily logs. Documenting everything. Dates. Times. Words she said. Witnesses. My mental state. If she ever tried to pin anything else on me, I'd have a digital trail a mile long. I even left a sealed envelope with Rob, labeled, open if I disappear. Sound paranoid? Maybe. But with Rachel? It felt like basic survival. Then came the sudden twist, the one I never saw coming. It was Maddie, my daughter. One night, she came into my room after Rachel went to bed. She was shaking. Daddy, she whispered. I heard Mommy on the phone. I sat up. What did she say? She said if you tried to take us away, she'd make sure you never woke up. I froze. She said that. Maddie nodded. Tears spilled over. She said she could make it look like an accident. Like she's done it before. My blood turned ice. Before? I asked, my voice hoarse. Maddie nodded again. I think she hurt someone else. I hugged her. Tightly. Too tightly, maybe. I stayed up all night playing that sentence over and over in my mind. Like she's done it before. And suddenly, everything came into focus. The man from years ago, the neighbor who went missing. The yoga client who moved away after a messy breakup. The ex-boyfriend no one ever talked about again. Pieces of a puzzle I didn't know I was holding started sliding into place. This wasn't just a game of divorce anymore. And if I didn't get my kids away from her fast, I might not live to try again. In the morning, I didn't confront her. Didn't tell her what Maddie said. I kissed my kids goodbye like always. Ate my eggs and toast while Rachel talked about refinancing the mortgage like we were just another married couple planning our future. But inside, I was planning an escape. I called Rob. Told him what Maddie said. You think she's really capable of murder? He asked. I don't think anything anymore, I said. I know. Rob didn't question it. He'd seen enough already. We'll do it your way, he said. Disappear. But we have to be smart. We laid it all out. Timeline. Resources. Safe houses. I'd move out with the kids in stages. Make it look like a work trip. A little at a time. Meanwhile, Rob would dig deeper into Rachel's past. See what he could find. I started packing bags in secret. Stashing clothes and cash in my office at work. I opened a second storage unit under a fake name. I took out cash in small amounts. Avoided any pattern. Rachel got colder. Sharper. Like she sensed something was slipping. She started locking the bedroom door. Watching me when I took calls. Questioning every little thing, receipts, phone history, my time. One night, she woke me up at 3 a.m. Where were you yesterday after 5? She asked, standing over me like a warden. I told you. Conference call ran late. You sure? I nodded. She stared at me for a long time, then walked out. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Rob called 3 days later. I found something. He emailed me a police report from 11 years ago. A missing persons case. Man named Aaron Strickland. Dated back to when Rachel and I first moved in together. Aaron had been Rachel's ex. Had filed a restraining order a year before he disappeared. Said she was threatening him. Said he feared for his life. The report was buried, closed within 6 months. No leads. No body. No follow-up. Rachel never mentioned an Aaron. Not once. I printed the report. Added it to my file. I was building a war chest now. When I drop in court the second she made her move. I was halfway through making lunches for the kids when 2 police cruisers pulled into the driveway. Rachel was already at the door, smiling sweetly. The officers stepped inside. Mr. Latham, the older one said. We're here on a wellness check. Your wife expressed concerns about your mental state. I laughed. Couldn't help it. A short, bitter sound. She said what? She claims you've been paranoid. Erratic. That you've made threats. I looked at her. Rachel stood behind them, eyes wide, arms folded like she was scared. She's lying, I said calmly. She's trying to paint me as unstable. She wants custody. They exchanged a look. We're just here to talk, sir. So I talked. I told them everything. Showed them my file. The photos. The logs. The texts. Even the police report about Aaron Strickland. They listened. And for the first time, someone believed me. They took statements. Copied documents. Promised to elevate it. Rachel's face cracked for the first time in months. She didn't say a word as they walked out. After everything she'd pulled, the cheating, the lies, the threats, the fake abuse report, I wasn't interested in justice anymore. I wanted revenge. And it came easier than I thought. It started when Lisa came back into town. Rachel's younger sister. The golden child once upon a time. I hadn't seen her in nearly 5 years, not since their family blew apart over some inheritance fight. Lisa had always been kind to me, softer, realer than Rachel ever was. She used to babysit Maddie when she was little. We'd stayed in touch here and there, but never much. After everything that happened, I wasn't sure what to expect when she called and asked to visit. I heard what's going on, she said over the phone. I'm so sorry, Mike. If there's anything I can do. I almost said no, but something in her voice sounded sincere. And hell, I was drowning. What was one more lifeline? When she showed up at the house, Rachel wasn't there, off doing God knows what with God knows who. Lisa brought cookies. Maddie hugged her like a long-lost aunt. Evan was shy, but he warmed up after 20 minutes and 3 Oreos. She stayed for dinner. We talked. Really talked. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't have to guard every word. Didn't have to play the careful game. Lisa was just Lisa. Soft blonde hair, tired eyes, genuine smile. She always did have a dark streak, Lisa said as we drank coffee after dinner. You know, when we were kids, she used to steal our mom's jewelry and blame the maid. I laughed. That sounds about right. She never liked rules, Lisa went on. She liked power, control, even as a little girl. We sat in silence for a moment. The kids were upstairs watching a movie. You were too good for her, Lisa said quietly. Everyone saw it but you. Over the next week, Lisa came by often. Sometimes just to help with the kids. Sometimes to bring groceries. Sometimes just to talk. She wasn't just company, she was stability. Sanity. Someone who remembered who I was before I became the broken man Rachel had turned me into. One night, it was raining hard. Rachel was gone again, claimed she had a late yoga class. Lisa stayed late. The kids were asleep. We sat on the couch drinking bourbon, watching the storm through the living room window. The lights flickered. This house used to be so full of love, Lisa said. It's been empty for a long time, I replied. She looked at me. Her eyes were glassy. You didn't deserve any of this. Then she leaned in, kissed me, and I let her. There was no guilt, no hesitation, just heat, fury, need, and maybe, just maybe, a little piece of me that wanted to hurt Rachel the way she'd hurt me. We slept together that night in the guest room, and the next night, and the one after that. It was something else, something bigger. And when word got out, oh, it was glorious. It started with whispers. A friend of mine texted me, dude, heard about you, and Lisa. Damn. Then someone at the grocery store gave me a look, the kind where they're dying to ask but don't dare. By the end of the week, the whole damn town knew. Small towns never stay quiet for long. And Rachel? She found out like narcissists always do, too late to control the story. She came home one night and exploded, screaming, throwing things. Called Lisa a backstabbing bitch, and me a disgusting predator. I just stood there, arms crossed. I know about the motel, I said calmly. I know about Carter, Blake, Miguel, the cash stash, the texts, the threats, the missing ex. She froze. You think sleeping with my sister makes you better than me? She hissed. No, I said, but it sure feels good. That night, Lisa moved in. Rachel tried everything: slander, manipulation, threats. But no one was buying it anymore. Not after what I showed the judge. The messages. The photos. Maddie's testimony. The old police report Rob had dug up on her ex. She had no ground left to stand on. When the custody papers came, she laughed in my face. You'll never win. You think a judge is going to let a guy who sleeps with his sister-in-law raise 2 kids. But I wasn't just fighting anymore. I was winning. People had turned. Friends. Neighbors. Even her own yoga clients. Some quit her classes. One left a Yelp review calling her mentally unstable. Another shared her story, how Rachel once threatened to blackmail her if she didn't keep quiet about an affair. The legend of Rachel Latham was unraveling. And then she disappeared. I woke up one morning, made coffee, checked the door, her car was gone. So was her phone. No note. No suitcase. No trace. She'd run. Tried to disappear like the ex she probably helped vanish years ago. Rob found a lead. A friend of Rachel's in Arizona had gotten a weird message about starting over and being free. I passed it to the cops. They didn't move fast, not like they did when she lied about me. But they opened a file. Me? I stayed put. I had the house. The kids. Lisa. Peace for the first time in a long, long while. People kept talking, of course. Kept whispering. Some called me a hero. Others said it was messy. Some folks never like when you air dirty laundry in public. But I didn't care. For the first time since I found that note in the razor case, I was free. There's justice, and then there's satisfaction. Getting the house, the kids, and the town's sympathy? That was justice. But what came next? That was satisfaction. Sweet. Loud. Irreversible. And I made sure it would burn. Rachel had vanished. No phone calls. No texts. No court appearances. Not even a damn goodbye. Just gone. Like she was some ghost I imagined. But ghosts leave trails. And Rachel had left a damn library of sin behind her. Photos. Texts. Videos. Voice messages. GPS logs. Hidden camera clips. Screenshots of bank transactions. Screenshots of chats with her boyfriends, married men. 2. Videos of her coming home from motel rendezvous, drunk and giddy. Some of it was borderline illegal. Some of it was illegal. And all of it was damning. I'd kept it under wraps during the custody trial. Used just enough to win. But now that she'd skipped town, now that she'd tried to erase herself and start fresh somewhere else like none of it happened, well, I figured the world deserved to know who Rachel Latham really was. It started as a joke. Lisa and I were having drinks one night. We were laughing about all the insane things Rachel had done. "You should write a book," Lisa said. "Yeah." I smirked. "What would I call it?" "Gaslight by Yoga." Lisa snorted her bourbon. "You could sell this, Mike. People eat this stuff up." I laughed, but the idea stuck. I didn't want to write a book. I wanted to show the world what she really was. I wanted her to know, wherever she was, that she would never outrun what she did, that the mask was off. Forever. So I made a page. A profile. Not on Facebook. Not on Instagram. On OnlyFans. Now before you say anything, no, it wasn't for porn. At least, not in the traditional sense. It was for evidence. Exposed. That was the page name. I uploaded everything redacted names that didn't matter. But the rest? Raw. Real. Unfiltered. I posted the screenshots of her texting 3 men at once. Posted the clip of her telling her lover she wished I'd die in my sleep. I uploaded voice recordings where she admitted to stealing money, forging my name. Even the clip of her saying she'd make it look like an accident. People subscribed. Fast. Hundreds in days. Then thousands. The page went viral. Most called it brilliant. 1 week after launch, I got an email from a burner address. Subject, *U. *. It was Rachel. She'd seen it. "You think this is over?" The message read. "You think you've won? You're just like me. You're worse. Enjoy your moment, because when I come back, I'm burning everything down." I smiled, because I knew she couldn't come back. Not now. Not after this. Rachel built her life on lies, on secrecy. The only thing keeping her powerful was the illusion of control. And now? The whole damn internet had seen the truth. Somehow, it wasn't enough. That was the scary part. Once you've tasted revenge, real revenge, you don't want to stop. I started doing interviews, anonymous at first. A podcast called Justice Files did a 3-part special on the housewife predator. They called me the razor note husband. Lisa and I watched it on the couch, popcorn between us, her legs in my lap. "You're famous," she grinned. "I don't want fame," I said. "I want her to know that she's done." The twist came 2 weeks later. A message request. A name I didn't recognize. "Hi, Mike. I was with Rachel last year. I didn't know she was married. I didn't know about the kids." I messaged back. Asked a few questions. The guy gave details only someone close to her could know. Then another guy messaged. Then another. Soon, I had 5 men. All with stories. All who thought they were the only one. I made a group chat. We compared stories. And what we found? Chilling. She used the same lines. Same playbook. Same emotional manipulations. She even used the same pet names. Called one of them the exact same nickname she used on me back when I still believed in her. We weren't just victims. We were a trail. And we were pissed. So I did the unthinkable. I handed it all to the local paper. Gave them names, proof, timelines. They ran the story. Front page, *, the double life of Rachel Latham. Husband exposes web of deceit. *. It blew up. Made the state news. The story hit Reddit. Hit TikTok. Podcasts. People made memes. Reaction videos. And wherever Rachel was hiding, I knew she was watching. She sent one more email. "Burn in hell." I didn't reply. I just posted it. Caption, * for the record. *. The likes poured in. And Rachel? She went silent.